And this podcast is brought to you by the Repost Network. Repost Network. Monetize your SoundCloud content. Sign up today at repostnetwork.com. This is the power of pro wrestling. A podcast by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Coming up today, we're discussing if Goldberg should have another match after Survivor Series. Give our predictions on the lineup and list our favorite memories next on the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast. And welcome to the show. This is your host, Robert Rad. And for this special edition of the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast, I'm going to be joined by none other than the Godfather. How you doing, Godfather?
Oh, yeah, doing good.
Well, it's good to have you back on the podcast. So how you been doing?
Man, I've been doing pretty good. It's good to be back. I'm excited about this weekend. I'm excited about Survivor Series this Sunday.
Oh, I am too. And we are going to kick this off, as you heard in the open. We're going to start with, should Bill Goldberg have another match? So I'm going to get into some background info about Bill Goldberg, and then we're going to discuss if Bill Goldberg should have another match or not. So let me get my info pulled up, and we'll get started. Now, debuting in 1997 for WCW, Bill Goldberg made a major impression in the professional wrestling world. After going undefeated for several months, he would go on to win both the WCW United States and World titles, defeating the likes of Raven and Hulk Hogan. After WCW closed in 2001, it would be more than 2 years before he would join the ranks of WWE, where he would go on to face greats like The Rock, Triple H, and Brock Lesnar. Goldberg had his final match in WWE at WrestleMania 20 in 2004, but he is set to return at Survivor Series this year after a 12-year absence. Will we see another match from the Unstoppable Monster? So that's my question to you, Godfather, is will we see another match after this Sunday Survivor Series match with Bill Goldberg?
I'm going to tell you, it's all going to depend on whether or not he gets hurt this Sunday. He's been out for 12-year hiatus, like we say. If he does not get hurt and the match goes well, then I would say yes, I see another match happening at WrestleMania with him.
Okay, well, I can agree with you on that. And there has been a lot of rumors that he's already injured himself going into Survivor Series this Sunday. And I know there's been talks, like you've said, about Bill Goldberg doesn't really want to commit to a schedule yet because he doesn't know how well he's going to do. So I can agree with your sentiment there of it depends if he gets hurt or not. And with going into Brock Lesnar, my concern, which a lot of people's concern is too, is Brock Lesnar is a very physical wrestler, a very physical guy. So with Goldberg being, I think he's 50 or in his 50s, he's going to be pretty susceptible, I'm sure, to injury, so he's got to be very careful, and that's really what concerns me going into with Brock Lesnar. If he was facing someone else, I wouldn't be so concerned, but because Brock is so physical, that kind of has me worried that maybe Goldberg will get hurt, and if he keeps his word, I don't know if we'll see another match from Goldberg. Now, I do want to see another match from Goldberg, but I'll send it to you. If we see another match from Goldberg, who would you like to see him face? Because I know we were talking before the show, kind of some names you've thrown out, so kind of give your thoughts of who Goldberg should face if he does have another match.
Okay, this late in his career, Goldberg is a powerhouse, superstar. He is. So any match he needs to be in, it's got to be a powerhouse-style match, okay? There's three guys that pop in my head right now that would have a really good powerhouse match with Goldberg. That is Roman Reigns, Rusev, and Braun Strowman. So any of those three guys, if he would have a WrestleMania match with those guys, I think would be very acceptable. I think the fans would be pleased. I think everybody at home would be pleased. It would be a nice physical powerhouse match to complement all the other style matches we're going to have. So I would like to see him get in the ring with somebody that can physically go toe-to-toe with him.
Okay, I think that would be pretty interesting. And now Roman Reigns, I don't know if we're going to see that at this year's WrestleMania just because I think they have probably bigger plans for him.
Oh, well, no doubt about that.
I would say either The Rock or somebody. We would see that. Maybe even Brock Lesnar, although that's rumored to be somebody else. Braun Strowman, I don't know if we would see that. Rusev, with what happened building to the Brock Lesnar match, I wouldn't say is out of the question if he does come back. And that would be kind of interesting, having a powerhouse versus that. And I could see happening. So, I mean, I kind of like your sentiments. If Goldberg does have another match, I do like how you've mentioned maybe some of the newer talent and get them over, or by facing Goldberg and kind of giving them that rub. So, I mean, I would love to see that. I'm trying to think, me personally, who I would like to see Goldberg face off the top of my head, and I really can't think of anyone right now. Like I said, I do like your suggestions for who Goldberg should face, but I don't know, me personally. I'm trying to think of who would face.
See, that's the thing. He's older, so you got to put somebody with him that's got some, name value, some star power. There's only so many young guys he's going to be able to do anything with. You're not really trying to bring this guy in to put over the next so-and-so. You're bringing him in as another marquee on a marquee card to try to help sell it more. So he's got to at least be with somebody that they can have some physical moves, have some physical spots in it, each do their power moves. I mean, that's all really you're looking for, because I don't see this match this Sunday. I don't see it going lopsided either. We're not going to see a Suplex City match with Goldberg being the age he's in. I mean, they want to showcase some power in this match. I see a lot more power, kind of hand-grabbing them moves this weekend instead of just the same old, same old.
Okay. And to kind of close this out, since we're kind of running out of time, are you excited about Goldberg coming back this Sunday, and do you feel this was the right move by WWE to bring him back for Survivor Series?
I've been waiting on Goldberg to come back. I mean, right now you're running out of opponents for Brock Lesnar. They're already got the fantasy thing built up because of the game. It just come out a month ago. This is the perfect time to bring him back for Survivor Series, because you use that as the mega match main event, and you don't have to put a title match in there, but you still pretty much got a headline main event for the show. I mean, that's pretty impressive on their behalf.
Yeah, and I mean that is good, because since you do have the Universal Champion and the WWE World Champion in the Survivor Series Men's match, which we're going to talk about next segment, and I do feel that was probably a smart move to give us some sort of marquee match to get behind, to sell network subscriptions to pay-per-view, however people are ordering it. So, I mean, I do feel that was a good move. But that's all the time we have left. We're going to be back after this commercial break, so don't go anywhere. We have our Survivor Series predictions next.
This is Wes Henry, and you're listening to the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast.
Welcome back to the show. It is now time for our Survivor Series predictions. And we're going to start with the lineup with, let's start with the Cruiserweight title and Brian Kendrick versus Kalisto. Now, this is an interesting one. Not only is the Cruiserweight title on the line, the whole Cruiserweight division is on the line for this one. So, who are you picking on this one, and why are you picking them?
I'm going to have to say Kalisto, and the main reason why is because they're moving the cruiserweights to their own network, to their own channel, their own program on the WWE Network. They're not going to be on cable anymore. I feel like you may see a cruiserweight match here and there, but I don't think it was getting over with the Raw fans, and so I think they made a decision now it's going to move.
Yeah, and I mean, I can agree, because I love your logic there. I feel Kalisto is going to win this one because of the announce. Now, beforehand, I would have said Brian Kendrick will win, and he'll keep the title, and they'll keep it on the Raw brand. But with the announcement of 205 Live happening, and it happening right after SmackDown, that kind of, you tipped your hat when you announced this was going to be for the entire Cruiserweight division. And I was like, okay, I feel Kalisto's going to win, and he's going to bring the Cruiserweights to SmackDown. A lot of people wanted the Cruiserweights on SmackDown to begin with, just because of the simple fact you have Morrow as an announcer, and Daniel Bryan's the GM, and they're the one who did the Cruiserweight Classic that started this in the first place. So I felt they would have been better on SmackDown, but I understand why they went for Raw, because it was to fill up time, because you got a 3-hour show. Oh, but with this and the 205 Live announcement, I'm saying Kalisto just for that simple fact. And that's going to bring us to the Intercontinental title match. I originally had it set for Dolph Ziggler versus Sami Zayn, but that changed Tuesday night. The Miz beat him, and it's now The Miz versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title. So, who's your pick and why?
As bad as I hate to say it, because I'm not a fan of him, Sami Zayn's going to win the Intercontinental title this Sunday. And they gave it away when Dolph Ziggler dropped it to The Miz. That was a quick way for Ziggler not to look too bad at the pay-per-view, still have some kind of interaction. But I think with them losing the Cruiserweights, they're going to compensate by bringing the IC title over.
Yeah, and I agree. It's like we said with the last match, is if we're gaining the Cruiserweights, then I think we're going to have to switch and give them another belt and have the Intercontinental title on Raw and let Sami Zayn win it. Now, with that, that's going to put the IC title and the U.S. title on the same brand. Do you think we're going to have a unification match in the future between that, or where do you see?
I can see the U.S. title fading out for the time being, with the Intercontinental title being primary on Raw. SmackDown is they only have 2 hours. They don't need that many belts on SmackDown. It kind of crowds it down, in my opinion. So I think it's a good move overall.
Okay. And that's why I'm saying Sami Zayn, just so they'll move the IC title over. Or I think one of the two is going to be dropped. I don't think we're going to drop the IC title I think because it's Vince's creation more than the U.S. belt is. So I'm saying
the U.S. belt needs a makeover. It's at the point that, I mean, I know a lot of people like the American flag belt, but I think it looks really cartoonish in my opinion. I think it's time the U.S. belt gets a makeover to kind of get modernized like the rest of the belts are, not to look like a gimmick title.
Okay, I can understand that. Let's go on to the Survivor Series matches. Normally, I do the non-title matches first before I do title matches, but because this is Survivor Series, we're going to do things a little bit different for this podcast. So let's get to the Survivor Series matches. Let's start with the tag team one, and it's 10 on 10 tag team match, eliminations, Team Raw, Team SmackDown. Who do you got for this one and why?
I'm going to go here and I'm going to say Team SmackDown. And I've been kind of iffy back and forth on it, but I feel like that American Alpha is going to play a significant part in Team SmackDown winning because I really feel like that this is the tag team of the future, and this is the best case to showcase them, to really put them over, to get them set up for their title run that's going to come probably, I'll say, by WrestleMania.
Okay, I can agree with that. This one is not a clear picture for me. I haven't really decided because you really have the stronger tag teams on Raw. You have New Day, who are about to break Demolition's record next month and being the longest reigning tag team champions. You've got the Club, you've got Enzo and Cass, you've got a lot more of the credible tag teams are on.
You've got
on
the
Raw,
tag teams.
But on SmackDown, I mean, you got American Alpha and the Usos. You do have some good tag teams on SmackDown. It's just you don't have the star power and strength necessary on SmackDown as you do Raw. Now I can agree with maybe American Alpha playing a significant role, and maybe SmackDown takes this. And I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'll say Raw, but I really feel SmackDown is going to win the tag team one.
As much as I think American Alpha is going to play a part in SmackDown winning, I think the Club is going to play a big part into Raw losing.
Okay, so you're thinking it's going to be more the Club letting Raw lose than SmackDown winning.
I think it's going to be like this. It's going to be a little bit of both. America Alpha, I feel like, is going to be the dominant tag team. I can even maybe see them being the only SmackDown tag team left and having to run the table. Mm-hmm. But I see maybe the Club in some way costing Raw the match to American Alpha.
Okay. So it's almost like with the election, a lot of people would say, I'm not voting for this person, I'm getting voting against this other person. So
right, maybe something like that. Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think American Alpha is going to be the primary tag team that's going to win it all. But the Club, they don't play along with nobody. I think they're going to cost Raw because they just don't care about it.
Okay, I can see that. So let's go to the women's Survivor Series elimination match. We have Team Raw, Team SmackDown. So where are you going? Where do you stand on this one?
I have to say Raw. It's because they have the dominant women in the division right now. They have Charlotte, who's undefeated at pay-per-views. They have Sasha Banks, as much as I don't like her, the fans do. And they have the new hugger, Bayley. And I think they have the dominant team. I think they really have been pushing Raw as the dominant for the women's. I don't see that changing at this pay-per-view.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to go SmackDown. Now, Raw has a star power when it comes to women. I don't debate anyone there. You do have the Charlotte, Sasha Banks. They're their A players.
Nia Jax. Who beats Nia
Jax? Axe and Bayley. I mean, you do have the top stars in the Axe, but the women's division on SmackDown, I feel, is more well-rounded. So that's where I feel SmackDown is going to pull it out here. This is where I feel SmackDown pulls it out, is in the women's division. As much as you don't necessarily have the star power, I still feel like you have the Nikki Bella, you have Becky Lynch. You have a more well-rounded team on SmackDown, and more of the women's division on SmackDown has been about all the women, whereas Raw has been pretty much Sasha Banks and Charlotte, back and forth, and you've not really established a women's division. Now, I do see Raw is going to start establishing their women's division again, bringing the Nia and Bayley, but the SmackDown women's division is more well-rounded, so I feel they're going to play better with each other, and I think they're going to win this Sunday at Survivor Series.
I mean, the truth is they've only got 6 women. So focusing in around Charlotte and whoever she's fighting at the time, to me, has been very acceptable because you don't have enough women to really try to showcase all of them. I mean, for as much as you say SmackDown showcases them all, showcasing them by putting them in a tag team match against each other every week is not, in my opinion, really doing much different. The Raw just chooses not to do that. So I feel SmackDown is weak in the women's side and in the tag team division, to be honest.
Well, I feel that the women on SmackDown, though, you have everybody has a chance at the title to where it's...
Well, then tell me why every champion is the captain of their team except for SmackDown's women's team, and it's Nikki Bella instead of Becky Lynch.
Well, because Nikki Bella just has the bigger star power here.
John Cena.
Yeah, so I mean that's obviously why she's the captain and not Becky Lynch, because obviously Nikki Bella just has the more star power. So I mean, you do make a point there, but let's move on. We have 2 more matches to cover, and it's the Raw singles match that are the men's 5-on-5. So Raw versus SmackDown for the men's. Where do you stand here and why?
Now, if you would have asked me this as a Monday, I was going to tell you Team SmackDown won. But with what happened on SmackDown with The Undertaker coming back and him saying what he said, to me that just leads up to somebody on SmackDown costing Team SmackDown. Raw's going to pull it out. It's going to be because of AJ Styles. So Undertaker versus AJ Styles will roll.
Okay. Bold prediction, yeah. I say Team Raw is pulling this off just for the simple fact of you can't have SmackDown get all 3, and you can't have Raw have all 3. So you have to kind of balance it out. So
yeah, I think we agree on this. Team Raw wins it.
Team Raw wins it, and just for the simple fact, I like Ambrose. I like Styles. I don't hate Shane McMahon. I do feel that was a wrong decision putting Shane McMahon on there, but I'm sure that was just a gimmick to build up the pay-per-view.
Yeah, because but the truth is you don't have another outside of John Cena. For what reason they didn't bring him in for this match?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, John Cena to me would have even lended more credibility.
But you don't have enough credible guys right now, main event kind of level on SmackDown outside of what's in the match. Shane McMahon was kind of he's a necessity to be in this match. As sad as it is, you just have not built up enough top guys on SmackDown yet for one of them to be credible to be in this match right now.
Yeah, I mean, you could have fell back and went Kane, but then. And it's Kane, so I mean, yeah.
But you can't really put Kane on there with having 2 of the Wyatt family on there.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying there. But, I mean, it's Team Raw. I mean, you've got Rollins, you've got Reigns, Jericho,
you've got everybody.
Owens,
yes.
and Braun Strowman.
Yes, it's everybody. I mean, you can't beat them. I mean, the top guys in the company are all 5 top guys on Raw's team.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And that's why I think Team Raw has this. And we're going to wrap it up with what we discussed about in the first segment. We talked about Goldberg having another match. Well, Goldberg's having a match this Sunday against Brock Lesnar. So, what are your thoughts on this match? I mean, we talked about it the last segment. Who's going to win this and why?
Okay. When it comes to my old school legend guys, I can't bet against them. So, despite the fact that I really feel like Goldberg is going to lose, I have to pick Goldberg to win here because I just can't bet against these guys. I mean, I've been waiting for these guys to come out. What I hope happens, Paul Heyman turns on Lesnar, switches something up there, and Goldberg gets out the win. But what's really going to happen is Goldberg's going to take the loss this Sunday. So I really, it's hard for me to pick against him, but I just really feel like that's what's going to happen. I don't see him losing. I mean, I don't see him beating Brock Lesnar.
Okay. Well, I'm going to kind of throw it back for this one, and I'm going to make an example of why I'm picking the way I'm doing. I'm picking Lesnar, and I feel this is kind of like Ultimate Warrior Hulk Hogan. If you remember, you had WrestleMania 6 that I believe was in Toronto, or was in the Canada country, and you had Ultimate Warrior beat Hulk Hogan. Well, if you remember, years later, you had Hogan in WCW, and look what happened. You brought Warrior back. Well, Hogan went over. So I felt this match was for Brock Lesnar to avenge his WrestleMania 20 match.
Yeah,
now, I am looking forward to this, like I mentioned in the last segment, and a lot of people I know are complaining, but I want you to think about this. Their last match was WrestleMania 20. Yeah, they were in their prime and stuff, and the match sucked. Well, the reason the match sucked, Lesnar was leaving, Goldberg was leaving. You had 2 guys who didn't care. It was just, okay, I've already got a paycheck. I'll go out and do this match, and I don't really care. I'll just go through the motions and do that. Well, you got to realize, 12 years later, things is different. Brock Lesnar was not a MMA champion or a UFC fighter at that point. And winning the UFC title, he's a lot bigger. And during that WrestleMania 20 match, you had another missing factor that you mentioned, Paul Heyman. He didn't have Paul Heyman. He does now. And then Goldberg coming back. So, that's what makes this match interesting, and I am looking forward to it. And I feel like Goldberg was brought back. Obviously, we mentioned for the video game, but I felt he was brought back just so Lesnar can avenge his loss at WrestleMania.
But I don't fit. This is, I will say, go on record to say this. This is not going to be your typical Brock Lesnar match where he suplexes you 40 times, does a couple moves, and that's it. This match will be completely different. I'm laying that out there right now. Goldberg will not come back and agree to just being suplexed on his head 15, 20 times in a match. That's just not going to happen. He's not going to come back and look weak in front of his son. It's the only reason why he's coming back. So even if Lesnar gets this win, you better believe Goldberg is about to look strong unless he gets hurt. Okay? Unless he gets hurt and something happens, which we all know it can. But if not, I'm telling you, Goldberg is going to look strong in this match right here. He's not going to look weak. It's not going to take an elbow to TKO him. It's going to take some moves. It's going to take something happening if that's what happens. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. It's going to be a mega match, just like they're saying. It was a perfect word. It is a mega match.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm okay with Lesnar winning, and I'll close it out with this. I'm okay with Lesnar winning as long as it's not the typical squash match Lesnar.
Exactly.
And Goldberg has some offense, and it's a really back-and-forth exciting match to where you can believe either guy will win. So
yes, I think that's the way they're going to go with it. I mean, they have to. This is not going to be, I mean, they're building this way up. And people have got to get over the fact that Goldberg has come back. Enjoy him while he's here. I mean, this guy was the man in his prime. He took a hiatus off. At least he didn't wear himself out by wrestling for the next, for the last 12 years and make himself look poor like a lot of guys done in TNA when they're too late in their career. Mick Foley, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan. You know what I'm saying? At least he done the right thing and stayed away from it. So now when he comes back, he does this match. Enjoy this guy while he's here because he looked good. He took his shirt off. He looked good. I mean, come on. He did. He looked good. Okay? So get over. Quit nitpicking him to death. Enjoy Goldberg while Goldberg is here.
Okay, and I agree. And with that, it's time for our final commercial break. But stay tuned. Our favorite Survivor Series moments are next. So don't go anywhere.
This is Amber.
And this is Amanda. And you're listening to the Power Pro Wrestling Podcast.
It's now time for the final segment of our show. Throughout the 30-year history of Survivor Series, there's been some pretty awesome moments. We would now like to share with you some of our favorite Survivor Series moments. So there's been a great 30-year history of Survivor Series that has happened throughout history, and I know I'm being a little repetitive. So, Godfather, what are kind of some of your favorite Survivor Series moments that you want to share to kind of close out this podcast?
1999, The Rock, Mankind, Deadly Games main event, when The Rock becomes The Rock.
Okay, so 98. That was the 98 one. Because that happened after the Montreal Screwjob.
Right, it happened in 98, yep. I would also say 2001.
Okay, so which was the Invasion.
Yeah.
Okay,
I wish there had been a little bit more WCW, ECW guys in it. Less WWF guys, but still, I liked it. The significance of it, the title unification matches. I mean, it was really good. I liked that.
Okay, so that was some of your favorite moments then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm actually going to go a little bit more modern. While those were pretty good, I mean, you had the Montreal Screwjob, which would probably be the obvious of Survivor Series 97, Shawn and Brett. So, I mean, you could say that. At some of the more significant ones, because you mentioned the older ones, I want to get maybe a little more modern. 2012, Elv, just for the simple fact of look at the debut, we had the Shield debut at 2012. So, I mean, that was kind of one of my favorite moments because you had this group coming in, they looked strong, and you kept them strong, and look at where they're at now. They're the top guys of the company, essentially. Ambrose, Reigns, and Rollins, they're the top guys. So, I mean, you've had that. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that have happened with them. I'm trying to think. You've had The Rock team with Cena to fight Miz and Truth, which it's okay, not necessarily a memorable moment.
Good.
I'm actually going to talk. I guess I should mention 1990 Survivor Series, which is also a significant one because that was the debut of The Undertaker. So I can't forget that. And also 2014, not for the match, but obviously this was a holy cow moment. I won't use the expletive there, but you can kind of fill out how I felt. 2014 Survivor Series. Think of who debuted, who you never thought you would ever see in WWE. Sting. You had the debut of Sting. So 2014 Survivor Series. You did have kind of a good match there with Dolph Ziggler coming back from behind and winning, but with Sting coming out and making his debut, because that was a guy I never thought I would see debuting in WWE ever. So that's what kind of caught me off guard. And I was like, I didn't get to see it live, but just for the simple fact of Sting debuting.
Sting, you never thought you were going to see Sting.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what made it a great moment. So, that's kind of been my favorite Survivor Series moments. But I do want to thank you, Godfather, for being on the show. So, as I do on these shows, where can people find you on social media or give a plug here at the end of the show?
Sleep cheap on South Caraway Drive. You need anything, mattresses, furniture, you name it, we can get it. Come in and see Kevin Martin Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Anything you need, I can take care of it. Sleep cheap.
Sleep cheap. I know it's kind of catchy there, so that's good. So once again, thank you for being on the show, guys.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate you being on the show. We want to thank the Repost Network, obviously. Thank you for sponsoring the show and let me have unlimited access. So go there. If you want to monetize your SoundCloud content, repostnetwork.com. So definitely do that. Social media, you can find all the links to where I post this. I normally post this on SoundCloud. So on soundcloud.com/ppwp, you can find all my social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, obviously. There's a lot of social media, so you can find me there. You can also check out this podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud I just mentioned. And once again, thank you for joining me, Godfather. I've had a pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to have you back on here pretty soon, and maybe Rumble or something where you can kind of talk about it. So, thank you. And also thank you for the listening audience for supporting the show. You can catch us next time right here on the Power of Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Oh, yeah.